to start an 11-bed eye clinic in Madurai, a temple city of southern India. His 5 brothers and sisters and their spouses. They had no money, no business plan, no safety net. But they did have a mission, and their mission was to end curable blindness. They had 11 beds, and the world had 45 million blind people. 80% of that was curable. They were a little bit outnumbered there, 11 beds with 45 million blind. But fast forward a little bit, 35 odd years later, they've got a network. There's only 4 hospitals shown there, but it's actually a network of 7 tertiary care facilities and 40 smaller vision centers. They are the world's largest and most productive eye care facility. What does that mean? It means in that time, since inception, they've seen over 32 million patients and performed over 4 million surgeries. The vast majority of that either completely free of charge or at ultra-subsidized rates. The numbers around Aravind are magical and they're fun to look at. One of my favorite slides is the next one, and it shows you how many eye surgeries the average surgeon at Aravind does per year with a kind of global comparison next to it. The average eye surgeon at Aravind does 2,000 eye surgeries a year. The national average in India is around 400. The United States isn't on that graph, but in this country it's about 200 surgeries a year. So incredible productivity, but this isn't just a story about about volume. Sometimes when people hear the story, they think, amazing, this kind of work being done on a charity basis in the developing world, really inspiring, but how relevant is it to us sitting here in this auditorium today? The next slide is a comparison that kind of speaks to that point. Healthcare, we all know, is not exactly in its golden era in the West. And the next slide is a comparison of Aravind's productivity against the National Health System of the United Kingdom, which is their main provider of health and eye care. And they do around 500,000 surgeries, eye surgeries, a year. Aravind does around 300,000. So you've got a single organization in the developing world doing close to 60% of the volume of the United Kingdom in eye care. And then you look at the cost comparisons. How much does it cost the United Kingdom to provide that care? It costs them £1.6 billion. It costs Aravind less than 1% of that. So you've got a high volume, low cost system. And then the first thing that creeps into people's heads here is, well, that means quality must be taking a hit somewhere. They've done fairly recent studies that compare complication rates at Aravind with the Royal College of Ophthalmology, again in the United Kingdom. They studied the complication rates across 20 different types of complications. Aravind's quality outcomes were found to match and in many cases exceed that of its Western counterpart. You've got a high volume, high quality, low cost system. That's the tripart mantra for healthcare providers anywhere. That's the sweet spot we all want to be in. And when you look at what makes this possible, how do these people do this? When you pop open the hood and look underneath, you find an upside-down business model. This is an organization that turns completely on its head conventional wisdom for what it means to run a successful business. And it does this and triumphs. There are 3 things, before I talk about the different aspects of that model, there are 3 commitments that Dr. V and his team brought to the organization very early on. They were part of the founding DNA of the organization. And there were 3 commitments that were all linked to compassion. The first commitment, we will not turn anyone away based on financial need. The second commitment, we will not compromise on quality. And the third was really interesting. We must be self-reliant.